What if one training could bring managers back to the heart of why they do the work?
Jean has been training on the Middle Management Academy for nearly 15 years now.
Folks leave feeling rejuvenated. They feel reconnected to themselves and their work as a manager, and they feel uplifted and re-energized.
Meet the consultant who has trained thousands of managers nationwide, successfully re-energizing some of the most reluctant and equipping them with new tools.
Well, I'll be honest, a lot of people come because they're told to come. And that's kind of the joke. I'd be kicked out of the room if I didn't have practical takeaways, because it's an intensive 4-day training. Folks will come back on day 2 and they'll be talking casually with each other or with me how they took some exercises from day 1 and they already sent them out to their staff. And I go, okay, we're good. I like that.
The Middle Management Academy isn't about maintaining the status quo. It's about building the next generation of leaders who will redefine it.
What do middle managers mean to an organization?
They mean everything. They are the practical backbone of what actually gets done. And they are the folks who are nurturing the next generation of staff and leaders. There's so much potential for this academy to grow and evolve and make a difference. And your commitment to the management and leadership journey is unparalleled. And I think that's one of the reasons why I would pit a manager in our field against a manager in any other industry.
Discover how a robust curriculum and a passionate trainer are transforming leadership from the inside out on this episode of Wellbeing Wednesdays.
Welcome to Wellbeing Wednesday. I'm Mohini Venkatesh, Chief of Staff at the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, and I'm really thrilled to be joined by good friend and National Council consultant, Jean Supin. Jean has been training on the Middle Management Academy for nearly 15 years now. And the MMA is a 3.5-day training where we bring together middle managers from our member organizations to really dig in and talk about the issues, challenges, tools, and resources to really be great as a middle manager. Jean has brought forward lots of other trainings for organizations, and I'm so thrilled to have her with us today. Jean, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
I'm Jean Supin. I have been in the mental health and addiction recovery field for 30-some years, forever and ever and ever. I have been affiliated as a consultant with the National Council for Mental Wellbeing since the late 90s, so also forever and ever. And, I've had lots and lots of different experiences, and I've offered lots and lots of different things during my tenure with the council. Maybe we'll talk about that later. But for the last 15 years, I have been the trainer for the Middle Management Academy, in large part through your sponsorship, which is just it is a management training that has been going on for 24 years, and I have been humbled and honored to be the lead trainer for it for 23 years.
I love this training. I went to it years and years ago, repeated it several times, visited a bunch. It is such a good training. It teaches people a lot of great technical skills, but puts it in the context of our world. So I was curious, what are the main reasons people come to it? What do they get out of this?
Well, I'll be honest. A lot of people come because they're told to come. And that's kind of the joke. One of my deep compliments is people will come up to me at the end and say, I did not want to do this for 3.5 days, and my boss made me, and I loved it. So, but the training really has 4 intentions. The first, as weird as it sounds, because it's a 3.5-day intensive, in-person, lively, demanding experience. But the first intention is folks leave feeling rejuvenated. They feel reconnected to themselves and their work as a manager, and they feel uplifted and re-energized and excited about going back to work. The second, intention is actually they walk away with something that's useful and valuable. And we spend a lot of time redoing the curriculum and ensuring that folks walk away with actionable, tangible stuff that they can use tomorrow. The third intention is that they walk away feeling a renewed sense of confidence. Being a middle manager, you're not typically getting praised all the time. You're just like doing the job. And so I get to be a cheerleader and I get to remind folks that they got this. And then the fourth intention is to build community in the training experience. Sometimes it's a training with folks who already work together. Sometimes it's a training of folks scattered from all over the country. Regardless, the fourth intention is in this space, in this experience, we are a community. And part of the commitment to those four intentions stems from the National Council's commitment to those things. And part of it is they just show up in the evaluations year after year after year as the favorite parts of the training. So I take those really, really seriously.
So let's dig into it and talk about middle managers.
Our favorite topic.
Right? How many do you think you've trained over the years?
I tried to count once. I mean, it's in the thousands at this point. And I've been doing the Middle Management Academy, which is your stellar product, since 2002. It was first launched in 2001, and I joined faculty the following year. And I think I have several great joys from doing it. First, I love working with middle managers. I really do believe, and I'm so grateful that you and the council believe that middle managers are so critically important and that you've invested so much time and energy and talent in that space. So I don't know. I tried to count. It's in the thousands. And my greatest sort of compliment that I take is that I get folks whose bosses went through it when they were first starting their career. And just yesterday, a woman came up and said, yeah, my boss took this like 10 or 12 years ago. You were the trainer. And now the things that come out of her mouth, I now understand where they came from. And wow. I just take that as such a humbling honor.
Who tends to come to the training, like level in the organization, and also where are they in their career usually?
I get a full range. I have on occasion gotten folks who aren't even managers or supervisors yet, but they aspire to that, or their organizations see potential in them. Most typically, however, I get anyone from, I've been a supervisor now for, 48 hours and I don't know what I'm doing, to director level and sometimes C-suites. When I do this training in organizations, sometimes we do it with a national, sort of collection of folks from all over. And then we also do the training in organizations. And depending on the size, I will have the CEO and the C-suite and everybody else. So it becomes a team building opportunity. And I always, the vibe's a little different, but it's equally great. And to have the CEO sitting with a frontline supervisor in a level playing field, so to speak, and just learning together and getting to know each other together and working on problems together is really inspiring to see.
Wow. Well, and the curriculum's evolved over the years, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What are the big changes?
The big changes early on when the National Council initiated this training and created it, supervisors weren't getting anything. They were mostly good clinicians who'd been promoted to supervisor without any direction, without any clarity about what that role entailed, without any training. Oftentimes, this would be the only training they would ever get. And so we just packed a lot in. And then over the years, I've noticed two things. One, we're a lot busier than we were then. We thought we were busy then, but we had no idea. So I've definitely taken things out of the curriculum to give people an opportunity to have space to be able to reflect on their job and their passion about management, determine for themselves what they love and don't love. So I've intentionally given space for that self-reflection and group reflection. And then the content, the practical, sort of tactical things that we need in mental health and addiction recovery. Obviously, I changed that because, our field is always evolving. But I also have recognized this is not the only training most of the folks I see will have.
I see.
They're far more savvy and skilled. They don't always feel it every day. I mean, none of us do. But they're very skilled. They're very savvy. They've had a lot of different experiences and training. And so this has to be an experience that gives them more, because it's not the only thing they'll ever get.
Wow. And what do middle managers mean to an organization?
I think they mean everything. You can have the best vision and the best strategic plan and the best ambitious, audacious goals, but without a strong middle, nothing's going to happen. They are the realization of your highest ambitions. They are the practical backbone of what actually gets done. And they are the folks who are nurturing the next generation of staff and leaders. And they really, and again, because I love them also, and because I work with them week in and week out, across the board, we have just a really powerful cohort of middle managers.
When I look back at the time you and I have known each other, 15 plus years probably, I think about the changes our field has experienced in that time. More than we can count, but the big ones that come to mind, Affordable Care Act and things like health homes and a lot of other big changes, the Medicaid expansion, certified community behavioral health clinics, primary behavioral health integration, the deeper understanding of trauma and how that needs to be acknowledged in practice. I think so strongly about the role of middle managers and all of that, because you're right. There's talk about big vision with some of these changes that have happened and breaking that down into practical reality and changing patient experience. The managers are that translator, the bridge of that vision into reality.
And they do it really well. It's interesting, as you just did an inventory of all the major systems changes that we've experienced those during the tenure of this Middle Management Academy. And in many ways, the managers that I experience, they just roll with it. I mean, they've implemented those things, and their capacity in general, of course, there's individual variation and there's individual levels of experience, but overall, our middle managers' capacity for making those huge changes is quite inspiring and quite astounding. And because it's interesting, we do in the Middle Management Academy and other arenas where I'm in it with middle managers, we certainly talk about those changes. But at the end of the day, what we talk about most is, how do I engage my staff? How do I motivate and inspire the people I supervise? How do I have tough conversations with folks who aren't quite getting it? And I joke in the academy, we have a series of scenarios, typical one-on-one stuff that any supervisor will encounter with a staff. And I joke, and after they walk through all these scenarios, their line always is, were you walking around our hallway? I mean, how did you know that this is exactly what I was dealing with yesterday? And I joke and say, yeah, well, okay, we wrote those in 2001. And so I think the enduring piece is a capacity to hold big vision and big change and to understand the practical, tactical management requirements to make those happen. And the other enduring thing is, at the end of the day, we're just working with other people. How do we do it well? How do we be ourselves and work with folks who are very different than we are, and all work together in a way that we like each other and we can accomplish stuff and we can move things forward. And it's an interesting journey.
Well, let's go on a journey way back to 15 years ago. Can you share more about what brought you into this work with middle managers, and also to reflect on why have you stayed in it?
Yeah, truthfully, I fell into it. I was, my background is more organizational development. So as a consultant, I joined the consulting team for the National Council in the late 90s. So much of my early work was in much larger system redesign. I was of the era of managed care implementations in the Medicaid sector. So I did a number of Medicaid managed care implementations. I did lots and lots of mergers and acquisitions, and I did lots of big system changes since there was so much, as you inventoried earlier, there was so much system change going on. And yet and then I got sort of pulled into on the side doing this training, and really meeting you 15 years ago was when you and I together said, there's just so much potential here. There's so much potential among the management cohort across the industry. There's so much potential for this academy to grow and evolve and make a difference. And so I was at a point in my career where I would like to say it was an intentional move, but it just sort of happened where it's like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. And I love this. And so, with your sponsorship, I mean, obviously you remember, I mean, we branched out into all sorts of ways. So we were doing support and training for executives and for folks in the middle doing different specific projects. The youth leadership program that you and I kind of created with others was so powerful. And I will, because I'm technically a consultant with the council, despite my long tenure, I can brag on you easier than those inside. And your commitment to middle managers, to new managers, to the management and leadership journey is unparalleled. And you deserve a lot of credit for that. And I think that's one of the reasons why I would pit a manager in our field against a manager in any other industry. I mean, I sometimes dabble outside of human services, outside of nonprofit, public sector. I would put any one of these managers, they would outshine the managers I see in other arenas. And I think in large part, it's your investment in them.
Wow, all of our conversations, I've never heard you say that before.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I tell the folks in my training all the time, because I get to the other part of the middle management academy, I get to be everybody's cheerleader.
Right.
And I love that role.
Yeah. Well, and I feel it. I mean, I'll sometimes meet people who've gone through the program and how impactful it is for them. That's the thing too, Jean, I guess maybe to talk about more is how the Middle Management Academy helps participants re-envision what their role can be, how impactful they can be. Also gives incredibly practical tools that they can take them right away. Like the following Monday, change your team meeting agenda. Think differently about your physical presence, what it looks like in that conversation. Think differently about how you give feedback in a one-on-one. Like think about how you have a difficult conversation in a different way. It's so practical.
Yeah, I'd be kicked out of the room if I didn't have practical takeaways. And so one of my other greatest compliments is folks will come back like on day 2, because it's an intensive 4-day training. Folks will come back on day 2 and they'll be talking casually with each other or with me, how they took some exercises from day 1 and they already sent them out to their staff. And I go, okay, we're good. I like that. And it's not just me. I create a space where where everybody's sharing best practices. And the most enduring feedback I get for over 20 whatever years is people love being in a space with other folks, either within their organization or around the country, who are experiencing the same thing. And they feel a sense of relief that it's not just them. They feel a sense of camaraderie, and they learn from each other. And that's the other reason why the curriculum is designed with open space in it. So I learn stuff every single time I do it. I learn cool new strategies for engaging staff. The training culminates in a group project. So for 23 years, I've had every single group do, thousands and thousands and thousands of groups have presented some kind of management improvement project. And they're fabulous. They are fabulous. And they take bits and pieces of the curriculum and redesign them with recommendations to their execs to implement it. They redesign. I had one group, they were sending folks, a handful of folks to each training. So the first group, they decided to redesign their new employee orientation process. That was their project. And then 6 months later, I had their colleagues, and we were talking about onboarding and stuff. And their colleagues said, yeah, we just implemented this really cool new comprehensive onboarding process, and it's really working great. And I just laughed. I said, yeah, I saw that. They did that here 6 months ago. And
that's amazing.
I know, it was very fun.
Wow.
But so I learn all the time, and they're just doing some incredible work.
Wow. To show you what a few days with people what a difference it can make.
Yeah.
For sure, a lot of what I experience with our members when I talk with them, particularly those in management and above, is the loneliness factor that plays out for them on a daily basis. And you talked earlier about the power of being in a room, too, with others, right, that understand where your head's at and what you're experiencing. And do you feel that a lot when you're standing in the front of the room with them?
Yeah. One of the goals for the training, one of the learning objectives that I share with everybody is that we build community in the space. And again, sometimes the training participants, and I've had as many as 60 participants in the room, the more average is between 35 and 40. But if they're working with folks from all over the country, they love that community. But interestingly, even if they're all in the same organization, oftentimes they've never seen each other in person. And they've certainly never worked together. And so they get a chance to just sit down and talk to each other and connect. And I do a change management piece that's, I introduce lots of different change management concepts, but it culminates in an exercise. And it's a 6-step exercise in the training. It's a 30-minute exercise. You'd think it was kind of a one-off, but I ask folks to pick a change that they're either in the middle of or anticipating. And then, I have these change management steps. And in 30 minutes, they plan in great detail a pretty complex change that they're actually going through. And they will all say, we never get 30 minutes to sit around and just do this stuff. And I remind them how powerful it is to make time for that. And it's not me, it's just given the space.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the future. I mean, what do you see for the future of middle managers and our member organizations? What do you see for the future of training needs and help that middle managers need?
There's some aspects of our future, we can never predict, but so don't hold me to all of this, but, but I absolutely anticipate that the managers in our world who are committed to mental health and addiction recovery will continue to grow and learn and be curious and get better and better for themselves and for those they supervise and for everybody else. That has been a consistency. Everybody I encounter is, to use Patrick Lencioni's word, is hungry, which I prefer the word curious, but just eager to keep getting better. And I don't see that ever changing. What we're trying to do collectively with the council is to scale these opportunities. The changes since COVID, where we are much more geographically scattered, where hybrid and flex sort of physical proximity is, sort of much looser than it used to be. So how do we adapt to that? Certainly with COVID, we just immediately pivot, and really with your sponsorship and your kind of, we need to do this. We instantly pivoted what had historically been a 4-day in-person intensive experience. We pivoted to an online version. And we've been doing that since COVID. We've reintroduced, obviously, the in-person. And we've recognized now that it's a great opportunity to split those. So next 2026 marks the 25th anniversary of this, little engine that could.
Congratulations.
So our plans are to continue the in-person immersive experiential training opportunity. And, we're always updating that curricula. So we will continue to do so. And we're now developing and launching a different kind of management masterclass that will be offered virtually, that will be a combination of self-paced with some opportunity for connection and live, Zooming. And part of that is to just blow out the scale. When it was just me, there were only so many trainings I could do physically. So we've hired a second trainer, and we're really investing the time and energy and the resources to just expand in a variety of directions, so more and more people can not only have this experience, but can have those touch points and those connection places.
That sounds great. And I think more and more we have to find ways to meet people where they are. And so offering a variety of options, the Middle Management Academy is still the Middle Management Academy, but offering a variety of options for folks could make things even more accessible than they are even now.
Yeah. And we're designing an anchor virtual masterclass, and yet it will also have additional sort of singular topic kinds of training. So there's going to be a la carte offerings and masterclass offerings, and then follow-up offerings. I mean, for decades we've been, okay, now what? Can we get back together? Can we, do something else? Can we deepen our learning around this piece and this piece? And we've just not had the capacity, and so we're headlong into expanding that capacity.
That's great. Well, final question. I've had opportunity lately to think about mental well-being and what it means for me. I think I'm nailing in on a definition for myself, which is really about really leaning into what my heart and mind and body and soul really need, like leaning into it, not leaning away, and being really connected to people in my life that I love and care about. And so I'm just curious, what does mental well-being mean for you?
I've been thinking about it too. And in fact, I stayed up a little too late last night thinking about it. It comes from my 2+ decades working with managers in this space, and what they share about their experience. For me, mental well-being is where each and every one of us can show up as our whole, real, authentic personhood in spaces where we are embraced and welcomed and where we belong. Those are the enduring personal messages I get from managers everywhere. They say, thank you so much for telling me I'm okay, for telling me I can be myself and be successful, that there isn't one type of ideal manager or ideal leader, but instead I can be myself and I can show up and I can be welcomed and I feel like I belong. That is well-being for me. And as a result, I see well-being as not a personal and individual commitment. I see it as a societal commitment, that well-being is built through communities of belonging and care. And those communities can be our personal communities, our family communities, our faith communities, our civic communities, and they absolutely can and need to be our work communities.
This has been an amazing conversation. You made me want to go back and take the Middle Management Academy again. So don't be surprised if I just show up in the back of another one of your trainings.
I always love when you show up. So you are welcome anytime.
Thank you again, Jean.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm delighted that, I'm delighted to be here, and I'm delighted that you are a podcast voice for well-being. I think that's so apt.
It's awesome. Thank you.